Hi, this video is designed to give you an overview of the brand new competency-based education, the CBE implementation roadmap for your organization. This is a tool to help guide you from maybe a more traditional type of pedagogy and education experience to a very well-expressed competency-based education experience that is completely transforms your organization. And in order to do that, we're going to need to have a lot of great helps, guides, step-by-step, a sequence of steps. And for each step, we need to be able to drill down, really have a clear articulation of what the expectations are, to be able to unpack each of these items, to be able to give you resources, exemplars, and abilities for you to set your own goals for your organization and track yourself as you're making progress. So in order, let's begin by making sure, number one, we have the right URL, the right web address, and you're going to go to feedback.empowerlearning.net. The next thing you need to do is once you go here, you're going to see a login screen, and you're going to type in the provided for username and password that you received. Let's click submit. Now, once we've loaded this page, this is a page that is going to start to become much more useful and informative to you after you start entering in some data. So when you first log in, this page is going to be basically blank. So what we want to do is to get into a section that is going to be more meaningful for you at the beginning, we're going to go to the PD Resources tab at the top. When we click on that, what we see is the CBE implementation pathway. It is broken into 11 distinct competencies. We basically are using the competency-based model to transform traditional schools into the competency-based model. We believe that the competency-based approach to learning new things is not just the best way to do K-12 education, but it's the best way to do any kind of learning. So let's look at these real quickly. We start with shared vision. We have an important conversation about standards, reference, or competency-based. These are early decisions that you'll need to make on your way to full competency-based, but maybe there's some milestones that aren't quite all the way there that make sense for your organization. That's what this will describe. A communication plan. This is once you've got your shared vision and you've made a few key decisions. How are you going to make sure you plan to communicate that to all of your stakeholders? Make sure that they get buy-in, which is really important. And we've got lots of little examples of other organizations' communication plans that you can drill in and learn from and even mimic. Beginning proficiency scales, of course, very important. Vanguard teachers. Let's ideally we start with a hand-picked set of teachers to help be able to kind of for your organization unpack and see what does this look like for us. And to create really blaze a trail, if you will, for all of the other folks within your organization. But it's important to limit the stress, the strain, the discovery, all of that stuff, so that not everybody in your organization has to experience that. Let's take a set of Vanguard teachers, and we described a lot of what those teachers will do and how we know once they've been successful. Scales in the classroom, this is just building on with Vanguard teachers. We want them to start to use the scales. We have a development platform, which is for the teacher instructional model, which helps us understand exactly what specific skills and strategies and behaviors that a teacher really needs to exemplify in a CBE model, maybe versus a traditional model, because we're going to be doing lots of unique things like, really intentionally differentiating our classroom. Well, how do you do that? What about engagement in a CBE classroom? What about equity? What about all of these really important things? That's going to be in our development platform area. CBE measurement model. Now we're talking more about really how we're tracking this, how we're going to score it, some really important decisions there. Measurement in the classroom, which is the use of that model, and strategies and ways to make that really come alive. And then finally, we have some elements of how an LMS can help make all of this very, very doable, so you don't have to do these in various spreadsheets and all these kind of stuff. So that's the overview. Now, if we go and do a drill in, remember I said each one of these is a competency, which means we would expect that each one of these would have a proficiency scale. And sure enough, we do. So here it is, shared vision. And what we have is we have a proficiency scale that shows the various stages of learning or implementing this particular key organizational skill. You can see at the score 1, what does beginning look like? And then 2, where you've got more intermediate, or you are at the foundational aspects of this particular skill. What does that look like? What does mastery of that particular skill look like? And then you can we've got a score 4 if you want to go above and beyond. Every one of these, if you will, kind of milestones of achievement or learning are also coupled by a set of suggested evidence of how you might be able to gauge and understand this particular goal a little bit better. Now, so every one of these has a proficiency scale, which is excellent. And what we know also that a proficiency scale kind of sets the guidelines and the expectations, but it really doesn't do much in way of instruction or learning. And in order to do that, every one of our competencies, every one of these boxes is a separate competency. Every one of these competencies has a set of resources and helps that can help unpack and really help you have a keen awareness of what this skill is, how it applies to your organization, and what you need to do next. And so let's click on that. And now we have the AI Consultant Shared Vision. On the left side of this, what we do for you is we unpack all of the key concepts. And we have gone through some of the best of the literature out there and pulled out just the gems, just kind of distilled it down to the most important things we feel that you really want to be able to know about these topics. And then we even coupled it with an FAQ to help you kind of get a little bit more context and a little more familiar with its application. And with each one of these questions, if you click on it, you get a nice detailed answer. And we certainly believe that would be a help for you. As you go down, here's questions to ask yourself. This is kind of, you're going to see in each one of these, this section, which helps to try to connect these principles, these concepts to you and to your unique needs and situations. Next steps, we want to get into these not just so we can be aware, but we want to do, we want to act, we want to grow. And here's a next step plan, which is a planning document, which helps you unpack this a little bit. Here's resources, which again, these are like exemplars from other organizations where you can see, well, what did their final products of shared vision, what do those look like? And also references that might be of interest to you. Now, that is a lot of great information, but what you're going to find too is you're going to have additional questions that go beyond what we had thought to include over here. And you might even have unique criteria, unique community understandings and objectives or restrictions, whatever it might be. On the right here, underneath the CBE AI Consultant, this is utilizing AI, and each one of these AI bots, if you will, or consultants, are specifically trained on this topic. And what we recommend is to use this AI consultant as a thought partner. You can ask it questions for clarity, get examples of key concepts, or tell it unique situations requirement about your organization and ask it for advice. And that could really, I think, help you a long ways. Like in shared vision, maybe you have some limitations in regard to your board or things like this. You can ask it directly and let it inform it. What is your situation? And say and ask for advice on how to maybe include that in your shared vision, to how you might approach it, or whatever it might be. Like for later on when we get into proficiency scales, the agent is trained specifically on the best practices of writing a good proficiency scale. You could even load some of your proficiency scales, like maybe just a specific scale, and ask it to evaluate it. And it can give you a highlight of things you might want to think about. So really over here to the right, a very invaluable resource when it comes to content that we didn't think to include over here on the left. But on the left, we feel very confident that this will help get you started and in a very deep understanding and awareness of where you need to go for your organization. Now, that happens with all 11 of these components. If you want to see the proficiency scale, you click on the title. Title shows you the proficiency scale. If you want to get the rich resources, you click on the little document icon, and that gives you these rich resources of the unpacking, other links to exemplars, and your very own CBE AI consultant. Once you get oriented with the model here, what we ask you to do is to do a self-eval. And all that is if you click on the self-eval link, just go ahead and click both of these. Just select all, select all. These will be just the defaults. That's what you'll need to click in order to get started. But then you'll get a form that will show you the entire model. Now here's all 11 of those elements. Remember, each one of those competencies are represented here. There's 11 of them. And what you'll do is you'll rate your organization. Shared vision. Have not yet begun that? Are you beginning it? Developing, applying, innovating? And if you forgot what the descriptors are, if you click on the label, it will give you the rubric description for that. In this case, it's the score 2, or the label for the score 2 is developing. And this is the description. And you can refresh your mind with that, and you can think, okay, yeah, I do think we're here at the 2, or whatever it might be. And you're just going to go through and you're going to rate yourself all the way down. Okay? And again, what happens is if you want the description, click on the title, which is the word. If you want to score yourself, click on the number, the numeric value of that in the scale. Okay? Once you're done with that, what that's going to do is that's going to create for you what we call a KPI, or a key performance indicator. Now, this little KPI has 11 cells, which you probably got it. These represent each of the individual competencies for the entire implementation plan. Now, if I mouse over this, I can see this is shared vision. And I rated myself at a 3, or I rated our organization. Probably best to do this with your team. Your team rated your organization at a 3 with this. Looking at the scales and really honestly judging yourself against that. Did we do that? Okay, great. Yeah, I feel we did that. And then you can see at a glance exactly where you are as an organization. All right, we've had some of the most important pieces done here. We're at the score 2 for beginning proficiency scales, and maybe that's going to be a focus of ours. But I can see here just immediately, where are we now? And that's one of the key things that a competency-based model does. It helps answer the really important question: what does the student, the learner, in this case the organization is the learner, what does the learner need now? And we can see that transparently. The last thing that you might want to be aware of is once you have an awareness of what your needs are, you can go in and you can add a goal. And when you add a goal, you're going to go in and you're going to specifically select the learning target or targets that you would like to focus on as an organization. Now, again, this is the entire model. These are all 11 of the competencies. And for our focus, what we decided was that we wanted to get beginning proficiency scales and Vanguard teachers up to a 3. And we could have decided, at any score, maybe we hadn't even begun, and our initial goal is, well, let's get ourselves to a 2. Well, whatever your goal is, you can establish it and set it there. It starts to identify that. You set a goal date of when you want to accomplish this, and then you can create an action plan. Well, what are you going to do? How are you going to actually do that? And you might do something like, to begin, we are going to, and then whatever that might be. But create your action plan. And it'll start to be here. And now you have it documented, which is super important. And once you finish with that, what's going to be really interesting is, if you remember, I selected 2 learning targets. Now on this KPI, it also highlights it. Now I know, because of the target, that red target, these are the targets that we have a goal for, and these are the competencies that we're going to be focusing on. All right. Well, there's a lot more to kind of go over here, but those are the key high value pieces that we want you to take away with this particular tool. Please dig in, explore, utilize, and give us any feedback of how we can improve this tool to make it much more meaningful to you. Thank you.